and you may have to just shift it back and forth. We have a lot of road noise from the interstate and from the helicopter that occasionally descends on us here at Children's.
I don't think there's any real problem there. And that matures later, you need to take it over. That's why we put two on the table, so the energy work each other there. By the way, I don't know, was it you, Mr. Chairman, they asked about flexible gooseneck microphones?
We discussed that.
We've got them in, but we don't have the complete package. There's two different kinds of microphone setups, and we're going to buy some additional equipment. Or somebody's going to buy some additional equipment to be able to splice those mics in, but we do have the flexible type things that
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier for the people out on the.
But they're in process.
We are getting pretty high tech over here.
Is there anyone here from the Craighead County Sheriff's Office? County Sheriff? Oh. Mr. Hester, you're back there.
I might just note today, for those of you that have been with us before, you might see a couple of new faces here. Mr. Ellis was having a little outpatient heart procedure today, and our other board member, Mr. Hampton, his wife continues to be ill. She's been ill for the last 5-6 months, and I'd ask you to keep his family in your thoughts as well. But we're today we have Mr. Newkirk from Saline County and Mr. Howard Latimer from Sevier County. Governor has appointed these people on a one day as alternates, and we're honored to have both of them here today with us.
So if you just made that announcement, I'll go ahead and
What do we get on record? Let's put that on record. Let's put that on record. You almost have to get pretty much up on this thing to speak, which is unfortunate. Or you can pick it
I'd
up.
rather not spit in it.
But it does work.
You can take it on.
Okay. It is.
Get it whatever you want. Dancing, the anti-dancing. Answer me.
Are we ready? Ladies and gentlemen, we're on record for the 1 o'clock item. It is now properly 1:08. The matter is set for consideration is an application for a new private club permit. Mr. Wayne E. Odom, as manager representing the Odom Rest Social Club. I understand this is a place that is going to be associated with Charlie's Restaurant in Jonesboro, which has an address of 2212 Parker Road in Jonesboro. The director's decision was to deny. The director's decision reflects two reasons: objection received from the sheriff's office and opposition received from area residents via petition bearing 186 signatures. Prior to the time that we went on record, I canvassed the room. We sent a letter to Sheriff Jack McCann, who is from the sheriff's office with us today. Mr. Odom is present. He's represented by his attorney, Mr. Jim Lyons of Jonesboro. Mr. Hester tendered some opposition applications. That was the other reason the director denied the application. 186 signatures against. Mr. Hester is present. If he chooses to testify, he can explain his position on that. I will pass the file to you. There are some letters that were received in the file from various parties, both for and against the application, that are just loose in the front of the file. Other than that, those are the only two reasons given by the director for denying the application: opposition by sheriff and petitions against. Mr. Lyon, do you have any witnesses that you think will be offering testimony other than Mr. Holder?
Yes, I do.
Would you have him stand? Yes, would you have him stand as a chair witness?
Stand. All righty, and Mr. Hope, your witnesses. All right, everybody please remain standing. We're going to swear you in, or anybody that we think might be called to testify.
For or against?
Yeah, for or against. Please raise your right hand. You solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this hearing is the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Thank you, and I'd remind everybody they're under oath. Before we get started here, let me just explain briefly, for those of you who haven't been with us, we will allow the individual who's seeking a permit to go first, tell us who, why, what, when, and where about this permit. At that point in time, when we get through, the board will ask questions, as well as Mr. Hope will be allowed to ask questions. Then we just do a flip of that. We will have a case as to why you think the permit shouldn't be granted. Questions can be asked of the witnesses that are called, and I don't know whether we'll have questions of you or how that might work. Depends on how, kind of how it all goes. But then at that point, we will entertain a brief closing statement. I would just remind everybody that, like it or not, we are under the laws of the state of Arkansas. I know there's some consternation about a couple of them, but we're here under those laws, and that's how this board has to operate at this point in time. So with that, we will allow y'all to present your case. Mr. Hope?
Before council starts presenting the case, I need to
Talk louder.
There you go.
Before Mr. Lyons presents his case, I need to disclose on the record that Mr. Latimer has been not Mr. Latimer personally, but the organization that he's part of, and DeQueen, has been a client of mine in alcohol-related issues before. If there's any conflict that opposing counsel wants to raise about that, I wanted to make sure that I disclose it to take care of any ethical issues we have.
No discussions of this particular case?
No, we haven't talked about this particular case at all, but I have represented him and his organization in the past in other hearings.
The topic before you was passed, there is no present case?
Correct. The present case has been, well, we don't know anything about this case, and as a matter of fact, the case that we do have in common, the club burned, and that's probably not an issue now anyway.
Well, admittedly, Caliente's burned the ground, but they haven't gone away. They still exist as far as permanent. So
If they come back to this board, I'll probably still represent Mr. Latimer's organization at any hearings associated with that, which is part of the disclosure.
okay, but my question is, forget the fact that Caliente burned. Is there an ongoing present litigation?
No.
Okay, that's fine.
That satisfies this board, if it's okay with you, if you all have no objection to that.
First of all, let me introduce, you want me to stand?
No, you sit down. We're not like Perry Mason here. We try to be a little user friendly.
Okay. I have co-counsel now that Dixon, who practices a different firm, but is also co-counsel in this case of Mr. Oak and the social worker that she will participate in the hearing also. And with that, I would make a brief opening. Ms. Dixon and I represent Bluegrass Social Club, Inc. We believe that the board will find after the hearing of the public convenience and advantages law was amended in 2003 will be shown, will be demonstrated by the particular application. In fact, the application of the proposed hospitality of the city of Jonesboro, the nonprofit purpose of the Bluegrass Social Club is scholarships for Arkansas State University. Currently, O'Charlie's, which operates in the location where the Bluegrass Social Club operates in this location, and employs a number of Arkansas State University students and is a financial supporter of Arkansas State University. To that, we believe that this application will promote a diverse and vibrant economy, which is conducive to achieving the goals set forth in the law and regulations of the state. As a result, we believe that after all the evidence is presented, the board will find it proper to grant
Okay, if you will then begin by telling us what you're going to do, how it's going to work, hours of operation. Just give us a very thorough, concise kind of tour of your potential, what you're trying to do.
O'Charlie's is basically a casual dining restaurant. Blue Dress Social Club is going to be all funds are going to be going towards the scholarships for the ASU students. It's going to be a simple with the $5 membership. We offer the restaurant itself offers steaks, pasta, salads, burgers. It's a varied menu. I don't know one comparable to a Fridays or somewhere like that. Just we got a little bit of everything, and our prices range from $8 to $18. It's a family restaurant. Children eat free, 10 and under at the restaurant on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I don't know, anything else you'd like?
What about your hours of operation?
Hours of operation, currently we operate from 11 to 10, Sunday through Thursday. Friday and Saturday we don't close until 11 o'clock.
Okay, how large is this facility?
It seats approximately 220.
Okay. What do you plan? Have you been to our school, to the ABC
Yes,
seminar?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, and you're aware of all of the ongoing things that one has to do with their servers and those sort of things in terms of keeping everybody on their toes as far as alcohol laws.
Absolutely, and as a company, we kind of go above and beyond. We have a 5-day training that's called Serve Safe for alcohol, which every server prior to serving alcohol is required to go through. It goes through responsible alcohol service, IDing, carding people, how to properly identify fake IDs, dealing with difficult situations if they were to occur, identifying intoxication and preventing it. And then we also have another system called the BARS program, where O'Charlie's has undercover agents, so to speak, come in from the corporation. They'll come into the restaurant and try and purchase an alcoholic beverage from an employee. If the employee cards them properly and either denies or gives them a drink after they've properly carded them, the employee will receive a red card if they did it wrong, and they'll be immediately terminated. And they receive a green card if they, succeeded and did the proper procedure. And then usually they're rewarded. We give them, gift cards and things like that for doing the right thing and doing what they have to do every day. So it's taken very seriously by the company as a whole too.
Tell us about the surrounding area where O'Charlie's is. That's always an interest of this board, traffic and parking and those sort of things. Where are you located?
We're located at 2312 East Parker Road, which is, there's about 4 other restaurants in the area, in the direct vicinity. We're right across the street from a movie theater. I don't necessarily have the traffic reports. I think Jim probably does, but
any schools or churches in the immediate area?
No, sir.
What about, is this primarily, I'm assuming it's primarily a business zoned area? Are there any residences anywhere close?
Mainly commercial.
Where is it located, Steve?
Yeah, and something else while you're doing that, try to point out the closest other private club that might be in the county, might be in the area.
I may
Sure, please do.
explain to you where.
Absolutely,
a little bit about
that'll help.
This is the Highway 63 bypass that runs around the city of Jonesboro to the southeast. It goes to Memphis. To the northwest, it goes to Hoxie. On Highway 63 bypass, this is Stadium Boulevard, Arkansas State University is the large red area here. The Jonesboro Municipal Airport is the area here. And this is Stadium. Caraway Road, although it is shown as a small road here because it is not a state highway on the map, it is actually a 5-lane highway. O'Charley's is located right here on Parker Road, which is...
How close is that to the big new mega mall that's open up
The
there?
mall is down at the corner of Highland and Stadium, which is right here, and O'Charley's Blue Dress Social Club is up here.
So you're not up there in the middle of all that traffic turning into the mall or anything at this point? And I've been on the ground up there.
I have a smaller map which is blown up if we need to
Okay.
make it easier for board members to have copies of that, and then also have copies of the actual map.
Okay. Have you contacted any of the, I noticed we don't have any objections from local officials. Have you talked with anybody, your mayor, county judge, those sort of people? They were all notified, I know, but I was wondering if... From the sheriff, that is correct. Well, you got me. I hadn't mentioned law enforcement yet.
No.
Okay. Okay. How many people do you intend to employ?
Currently 55, and I imagine it would probably stay the same, roughly.
Okay, I'm going to ask one more question, then I'll shut up and let the rest of the board ask questions. But tell us a little more about your scholarship program that you're talking about running. We're always interested in what you can try to
Okay,
do.
well, of course, the size and number of scholarships is going to be based on the members and what proceeds are available to those scholarships. We're going to do at least two, one for an employee and one for a non-employee. They'll be offered one every semester, and if there are any more funds available, then of course we'll be able to offer another scholarship for the same semester.
How y'all going to make that selection?
We haven't really set up a system. I'm sure it'll be based on GPA, how long they've been residents, extracurricular activities, any good philanthropy they do will be noted, and probably an essay process.
Board members, questions of this witness? Mr. Ho? Oh, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Mr. Latimer. Okay, that's fine.
Let me ask you, this little charter, who are they and are they now in existence? Is it a club?
It's a currently existing restaurant.
Restaurant?
Yes, sir.
With no alcohol.
With no alcohol service whatsoever.
How long has it been open as such?
The current location, 5 years.
Now then, on your membership, you mentioned membership, something depending on the membership. As I understand it, the memberships in the private clubs anymore is almost a joke. In other words, they don't charge anything for it. Can you charge anything for your memberships?
Yes, we will charge $5.
$5.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you will have a genuine membership roll associated with the $5 charge.
Absolutely.
Now, what percent do you expect of your revenues will go to ASU students?
It's just all dependent on what it. I have no idea, to be honest.
Do you expect it to be a percent of your profits or a percent before profits?
Well, all of the profits. It's a
All of the
nonprofit organization.
Okay, so all of the profits you expect to go to
Yes, sir.
Okay. You have questions you'd like to direct to your...
If you would, tell the board, we're going to briefly discuss you. Where do you live, sir?
I live in Jonesboro, Arkansas, approximately 6 miles from the restaurant.
And your age?
I'm 31 years old.
And your education?
I was a student at Arkansas State for 3 years.
Are you married, sir?
Yes, sir, I have been for 5 years.
Okay, and your wife, is she here?
She is here.
Aaron, back here?
We've been married for 5 years and have a son who is 14 months old.
be a person capable of handling their responsibility?
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you worked, tell us your work history very briefly, where you work?
Well, when I went to ASU, I worked at a physical rehabilitation hospital, Health South, just to pay my way through school. I worked there for approximately 5 years before moving to Memphis, where I started working for TGI Fridays, right across from the baseball park downtown. And I worked there for approximately another 4 years before getting the health shop.
In a management
Management
position?
Yes,
You left Fridays and moved back to Jonesboro, is that correct?
that's right.
Why did you move back to
Well, my wife and I had been married for long enough that we decided to have children, and we just didn't want to have. Jonesboro is a great place to raise kids. She's from there. Her entire family lives there. She's lived there for 27 of her 30 years. So I just followed her basically.
And how long have you been manager?
For O'Charlie's, I've been a manager for 4 years.
And so you're responsible for all hiring and firing, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And one of the questions that was asked was what kind of food that you serve, if you bring menus, is that a type of menu that you use currently at O'Charlie's? Yes, I don't know if there's one more like you got for this.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Bennett, would you like for us to introduce the conversation?
If you attend the auditor's exhibit, yes, show up to Mr. Hogan.
No,
Looks
I'm
like
sorry, the O'Charlie's menu, I don't need one, and we stipulate that they have a menu.
Okay, looks like they have a picture of the back of the Burlington Zephyr. Did you even know that?
I did not.
I've been on that train. It's in a museum in Chicago.
Each location has a different mural painted in the dining room just to represent the area. Like we have the Arkansas State Library painted in our restaurants, different for all places.
Lord, I used to visit O'Charlie's in Mississippi, there's, I'm sure, no one.
It's gone. It's a concrete slab. Yeah.
We're learning all sorts of things about you today, Mr. Oak. Okay, Counselor, what else here?
All right. Mr. Odom, have you collected signatures on a petition in favor of granting a private club liquor permit?
Yes.
Are these the originals of those petitions? And they contain 2,646. I'd like to introduce that to the cross here.
No ceilings.
2,640.
Would you mind, and I always ask both sides this very same question, is how were your permits, how were your petitions gathered?
We had a folder basically sitting on the hostess stand where our membership book would be if we were a private club. And if people came in and decided they wanted to sign it, they signed it.
How long did you take you to gather this amount of signatures?
I couldn't give you an exact date, not very long, but maybe 4 or 5 weeks, I can imagine.
And they've asked us something about the restaurant, the size of the restaurant. We think it has the photographs taken of the restaurant, both exterior and interior.
Yes, sir.
They showed 2 exterior photographs.
Basis, this is a computer resolution.
Yes.
I'm not gonna object to petitions for a group, I will object to the names of petitions, I'm familiar with like Picadilly, Louisiana, and, other places, I see it just on the first page, I see Picadilly, Louisiana, but I don't believe they have correctly. So I'll object to any names on petitions that are not in Craighead County, without going through it and wasting the board's time on that stuff. I believe that-
Were those people that had stopped in the restaurant to eat and signed? Is that
Possibly
the way
family
that?
members of residents of Craighead County, I don't know who
Okay.
they were.
Thank you. And your objection is noted, Mr. Oak. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
All right, we have two exterior photographs, is that correct? And this shows part of the parking lot. You would tell the board how many parking spaces
There are 116 parking spaces.
Photographs of the exterior.
Thank you.
And then unfortunately, I took the interior pictures, so they're not nearly as good. Know how to use the flash for that very well. We have some interior photographs also, that's correct. And in the background on these, you can see there's a lot of ASU, Arkansas State University memorabilia in the area where the bar will be. Are those things that have been in that area throughout the period of time that you've been manager of this restaurant?
Yeah, they've been there since day one.
It's something that has been supported, that issue has been supported by you as manager.
Absolutely.
I would move for introduction to the contract.
Just so we keep track of where we are, the menu set has been received, that was one. The petitions with Mr. Hall's objections, notice have been received, is that was two. Let me get this straight, this is the old Charlie's Restaurant in Jonesboro, this is not some other.
That's my restaurant.
That's your restaurant, all right. The photograph of what appears to be the front entrance will be out the street. And then the, for lack of a better word, the side shot that shows the windy sign in the background. The applicant's store. And you said there's interior shots coming.
Yes. We can do them together, we can do them separately.
I have no objection to the interior shot so long as the applicant verifies these are true and accurate submissions on this.
These are photographs of your place as it existed up.
Yes, sir.
All right, board members need to see them.
I'll take a look at it. Yeah, pass them down.
All right, this is all I'm gonna give back.
If I framed them and put them up, I would need more walls or something. Okay, go ahead, Counselor.
We also attached to the application, just so the board members can see it, we have a drawing of the physical premises, which show the interior and the location of the restaurant facility, the service facility, the cooking facility, the restroom, and then on the second page of that, show the exterior dimensions of the building. Is that correct? That's correct. Show you a copy of that, and so that accurately represents how the restaurant is currently laid out and the exterior dimensions on the second page. That's exactly correct. I would move for introduction of that. That would be actually got exhibit 8. It was exhibit 8 to the application, but it just would be exhibit 6.
I haven't marked the photographs of each here yet because we're still looking at those. Photos are collectively fine, and this will be six.
Well, before we get too far off of it, I meant to ask this earlier, how many parking spaces do you have here?
116.
116. I guess I missed that. Thank you.
I don't have any objection to the plat of the interior, as long as it's the exact same. It's up to the
Is this the same as was sitting with the application?
This is exactly the same.
Okay. Let's mark this one as six. Okay, floor plan is six. And clutch of photographs with a grainy feature through a glass darkly.
Did you do that with a digital camera?
No, I did it with a disposable that supposedly had a.
Didn't have enough
good impact on
pixels.
it.
Well, but when you blow that up, see, it's all having to do with pixels now.
I
I didn't even know that term 2 or 3 years ago.
Unfortunately, I am virtually illiterate when it comes to taking photographs, so.
I think we get the picture.
You need to get with Mr. Hester in the back and he can show you.
Bob,
how to
Bob
edit
is
and
absolutely an
everything.
expert. Bobby's an expert on the camera. All right. What else have we got to add here? Counselor, did you talk to any of the local officials yourself personally about this? Or?
No, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Odom, currently, how many Arkansas State University students do you enjoy?
Last count was 27 out of the 55 employees that I have.
And you went through the school, you're familiar with the school of revolving fund system, how services provided at a private play permit?
Yes.
And that's the choice that has been made on the application, is that correct?
That's correct.
No, I don't have a map.
Got a Jonesboro City map similar to the one that is depicted there that I would move for introduction. That would be exhibit number 7, I believe.
I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'll take the map, but the entire map, unless you tell me otherwise. As I understand the testimony so far, you located a certain identifiable intersection or certain identifiable part of Jonesboro.
Yes.
My burden on the record is making sure everything fits in the 8.5 by 11 map. This map does not.
Okay.
And you might, if this ever goes up on public procedures, then you might attach the map as a separate document, maybe this cannot be abstract. But, for my part and parcel of the deal, I'll take the whole thing as an exhibit, but if I ever have a copy, I'm only going to copy where I understand your client's location to be, which would be the center of the 8.5 by 11, that right there.
I've got an 11 by 17, which you can cut off the side of and make an 8.5 by 11 width with the marked already.
Well, good, so then let's get rid of this and let's take that.
Okay.
This is number 7.
I'm fine with that.
It will be accepted and trimmed.
Curbside alcohol program was mentioned. Are there in fact 4 or 5 DVDs that are used as part of that program?
Yes, 5.
And I showed you what appear to be the front and back of the DVD covers that accompany the DVD that have bullet points and what is discussed in regard to the service of alcohol. Are those items which employees are required to attend a school and review these DVDs and are tested on those?
Yes, I will.
Mr. Bennett, I would move for introduction the photocopies of the service safe.
Everybody that's going to potentially be involved in the service of alcohol has to go through this course.
That's correct. All
Yeah.
current employees will be required to.
Is that course, I know there's several out there, is that the course run by the Hospitality Association, or is that another one? I know.
I think that the Hospitality Association organizes it, but we put it on as a corporation.
Okay.
I think it is a hospitality DVD though.
Okay.
Review of the school regulations, you feel that you of alcohol in their private club permit.
Yes, I do.
And do you believe that this would benefit or to the convenience and advantage of the citizens of the city of Greensboro as well as persons who may come to visit the city of Greensboro if they come in?
Yes, I do.
You would tell us why you believe that this permit should be granted in regard to service provided by the restaurant or the price of the offer of food.
Okay, well, I guess you guys are probably familiar. We have approximately, there's 16 private clubs in Jonesboro. Quite a few of them are Elks Lodges and Sonic Lodges, that sort of thing. And then there's some nightclubs. There's really only about 5 restaurants. 4 of those are downtown, and the one that's even close to being, as far as geography, close to me would be the 501 Club, which is usually, it's fine dining, and you can go in there, and it's usually $30 to $50, whereas my restaurant ranges, the entrees are anywhere from $8 to $18, and children's meals, of course, are a lot cheaper. It's a lot more cost effective, and a varied menu where people will be able to come.
Have we prepared a list of locations of the private club permits?
Yes.
And actually, one of them is Brooks Country Clubs outside the city.
That is correct.
I would move for introduction of that as Mr. Oak, do you feel that you will serve a need in the city of Jonesboro for a place where members of the club can obtain a deal at a more reasonable price than the other private clubs that currently exist?
Yes.
And are you prepared to do that and ask the board to grant those tax notes up to the
Yes.
Oh, Julio's. That's the next good place down there.
Goes down across the street here.
Here.
Oh,
I don't think it's a good permit.
yeah, they have their own.
Yes,
Okay.
That's when Representative, or that's when McDaniel had his campaign.
Well, I knew that we were having a conversation, so I didn't.
They're working.
Okay. Big receipt is number 9.
Check on the population of the city of Jonesboro, Craig County, in regard to the number of permits, the number of permits per people. That's yes, sir. Okay, and we also done that in regard to cannabis.
Yes,
And I showed you what was provided from the United States Census Bureau for Craig County, according to it. Tell us what the population of Craig County 2005 estimate based on the United States Census Bureau facts.
Population of 86,735.
And that calculates based on the existing 16 permits to 1 permit for every
Every 5,420 people.
And in Benton County, we've done the same thing.
So we have.
We'll tell me the population estimate of Benton County.
Population estimate is 186,938.
And the number of permits that exist in every county.
One permit for every 1,860.
So there's exactly 100 permits in every county.
That's right.
Mr. Bennett, I would move for introduction. After this is the two items. Together,
Second.
Counselor, you're of course aware, and I'm doing a little number here too, but the good folks in Benton County seem to write us. They don't write the governor's office as much as some of the other folks, but they sure do seem to want all these permits up there. We don't get anything but praise and accolades and letters when permits are granted up there. In fact, we get a lot of people that are always writing in support, as opposed to the good folks in Conway who seem to be pretty divided about this at different times. I'm sorry, in Jonesboro, I got my cities messed up. Good folks in Jonesboro who seem pretty divided about it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
How large is, what's the difference in Jonesboro, if somebody can tell me, between census of 10 years ago and this last one? How big is Jonesboro grown?
So it's 55,500 and 55,535 and 515.
In the 90 census? In the 2000 census? Yeah. Or Conway.
1990 census, you know.
Counselor, what else have we got so we can move on here? Okay, do any members of the board have any questions of this individual?
I do want to make an observation. There are some things that are in the file that are part of the record, and that would be the non-profit corporation paperwork and the lease and the usual things. Membership list, all that stuff. Also, is in the record.
Any questions of the board?
So I was going to ask, organization, your record, operating with just
Staff here has looked at it and obviously deemed it appropriate, unless Mr. Hogue has any problems or objections to that.
It's subject to comment.
Yes.
Objection, no, there it is in the file.
Okay, hearing no questions from the board, Mr. Hogue, you're up at bat.
So the first thing I want to do is to avoid objections or so forth by putting council order. Basically, tip my hat to the fact that certified with C section 5 does establish a presumption now that the application qualifies for the project.
Here.
Basically, can I just say that over again?
Yeah, why don't you just say the whole thing?
409.
What's your regulation number, Dave?
I'm pointing out and recognizing that subtitle C of your regulation, section 5.15, establishes a presumption that the application is qualified as a nonprofit if they have the correct documentation from the Secretary of State. I recognize that. I'm saying out loud that my questions are going to be based on or looking into the nonprofit status. I'm explaining this ahead of time just to avoid the conflict that may come from that. I want to point out to the board that we have a nonprofit by one name and we have a restaurant by a different name altogether, and that's where my questions are going to go. So with that, Mr. Odom, sorry, thanks. Could you open up your menu for me? Sure. Turn to the, I guess it's the Sunday brunch. I'm looking at the chicken and pasta page. And I'm going to the bottom of it. It says franchise opportunities available. Call 1-877-772-0001 for more information. Where am I calling if I call that number? To be honest with you, I have no idea. Am I calling the Blue Dress Social Club? No. Okay. Am I calling an O'Charlie's national organization? Like I said, I have no idea where you'd be calling. Okay. Do you know whether O'Charlie's national organization is a profit or a non-profit corporation?
O'Charlie's Incorporated?
Right.
It is profit.
Okay. And the next question is, it says, to learn about employment opportunities with O'Charlie's, you can speak to a manager or call toll-free 1-888-421-JOBS. If I called that number, would I get the Blue Dress Social Club? No, you'd probably have to call our local number. Okay. Most likely I'm going to get a O'Charlie's office if I call either one of those, probably. Isn't that right?
I imagine so.
Okay. Tell me, when Blue Dress Social Club is operating in this building that says O'Charlie's on the front, as a private club, what are the uniforms for the waitresses and such going to look like?
They'll wear black slacks and a button-down short-sleeve Oxford, and black shoes, black belt, apron, and then your general stuff.
Is the apron, or are they going to have a name tag?
No.
Okay. No name tags? Okay. Is the apron or anything on these people going to say Blue Dress Social Club, or is it going to say O'Charlie's?
Nothing on them will say Blue Dress Social Club that I'm aware of.
Might it say O'Charlie's?
It might, yes, but we.
Let me ask a question. David probably knows what I'm going to ask her. Is there a DBA out there?
Yes, sir, there is.
That says O'Charlie's or the Blue Dress Social Club is doing business as O'Charlie's, but the Blue Dress Social Club has to be the non-profit entity of this thing. I think I see where David's headed with this. Okay.
Next, we seem to have established that you've got a piece of paper from the Secretary of State of Arkansas that says Blue Dress Social Club is a nonprofit. To get into that a little bit, how did you acquire that nonprofit? How did you get involved with that nonprofit?
How did I get involved with it?
Yeah.
It was just brought to me as an opportunity to get scholarships for Arkansas State. It really didn't have anything to do with the rest of it.
Okay. So you were. You were working for TGI Fridays at some point in time, and then came and worked for O'Charlie's, which is a.
Section 5.2 regulation. The current regs that ended August 17th, 05, provide that any complainant whether any guidance has been complied with or any private club that be resolved outside the alcohol spectrum control division may be provided by the Arkansas Nonprofit Corporation Act of 1990 law. So as the law was amended and regulations were amended in 2005, these matters will be addressed outside of the
Are you gonna offer that as an exhibit to that?
I can get a copy printed off the internet and I'll put it off. These are matters that are outside the realm of this hearing according to the 5.23.
David, can we kind of, I know, rather than spend a lot of time talking about this as we have in the past, kind of get to this, I'll give you a little bit of leeway here and let you get to the center point of this, if you will, please. And we'll note your objection, Counselor. Thank you.
My question here is obviously we have O'Charlie's, which is a public restaurant and a profit restaurant, and we have Blue Dress Social Club. If I come in and buy a steak and a glass of wine or something like that, where does the money go from my meal? The money goes. Well, it'll be handled by an accountant as far as any profit from the sale of alcohol, which is going to be going towards the scholarships. I mean, there's several different ways. Our computer system separates it. Home office always separates it. It's separated every week, every Monday morning at 4 a.m. When an inventory is taken, it's separated. They're kept separate that way. Is that what you're asking? It's close to what I'm asking. You're saying that every time someone orders an entree and a drink or dessert or an appetizer, there's a computer system that's going to separate out what goes to O'Charlie's public restaurant and what goes to Blue Dress? That is correct, sir. Okay. And if I come in to the restaurant and I don't want to pay $5 membership, but I want to eat at O'Charlie's, can I do that? No, not unless you have to be a member. Okay.
Obviously, you're assuming that the person is currently.
Sure, I understand.
So either way, people are going to have to pay $5.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's a pure private club.
We refer to the home office, so you might question that a little bit. Who is the home office?
Well, that's where we would be getting the food from. That's where we get our food from, basically. I mean, they handle payroll, finances, accounting. They're located in Nashville, Tennessee. Well, let me ask a couple questions on that. The home office located in Nashville, Tennessee is a home office for Blue Dress or for O'Charlie's? For O'Charlie's, okay. And that's the profit corporation with a home office in Nashville? Yes, okay. Are you paying any fees to them? They handle your payroll for Blue Dress? Yes.
There is existing Blue Dress Social Club.
Because we don't have,
Applying for it.
No. And I disagree with that because we have articles of incorporation with the Secretary of State that says there is a Blue Dress Social Club, which is a private club, so I can't disagree with that more.
But y'all have, well, this is kind of what we got into it with Mr. Shell with, as you know,
It's been in
David.
existence for a year with 100 memberships. It's got to be doing something. It has membership
Well, it
meetings
has
or else it
meetings,
would be
yeah.
has no employees.
At this
It wouldn't be
point.
here if it wasn't existing. So as to the objection, I'm still on point. It has no employees.
Let me ask the potential applicant, or you intend, in the event that this permit is granted, do you intend to use the correct accounting procedures to do all of the things that are required to keep these things separate?
Yes, sir. And do you have any idea what the correct accounting procedures would be? No, sir, I don't personally, but I have a vast array of resources, including counsel, Jim, Natalie, and the accountants in Nashville who will.
Okay,
Just another couple
quick,
questions on that, and I'll be
please.
done. I know the rules very well. Mr. Odom, does any part of the revenues from, let's say this private club is up and running and the permit is granted, will any part of the revenues be sent to a home office? No. Nothing at all. How is the payroll handled from the home office if they don't have any of the revenues from the club? You know, you're talking accountant stuff. I have no idea, to be honest with you. Okay, I have no idea. Very good. That pretty much makes my point right there, and I'll move on.
Okay, thank you, David. What else?
You said, I see that your nonprofit purpose is to provide scholarships to ASU for employees and non-employees of Blue Dress Social Club. Is it possible to accomplish that nonprofit purpose without serving alcohol? Possibly? Okay. You can establish a private club here and give out money for scholarships and so forth without ever getting a permit or serving a drop of alcohol. Is that right?
Probably so.
Okay. So that's not your purpose for having. Is that your purpose for having a private club, or is getting alcohol your purpose for having a private club?
The purpose for the private club is the scholarships.
Okay. So you really don't need alcohol at all. Why have you applied for a permit? Okay. In your application, you have a piece of paper that says that your nonprofit purpose is, as I just stated, to provide scholarships to ASU for employees and non-employees of Blue Dress Social Club Incorporated. However, in your bylaws, you have a further purpose, which is to operate a restaurant facility for the benefit of its members and guests. Am I right to say that the restaurant itself will actually be in O'Charlie's, and you have a private club operating in O'Charlie's?
No, it'll be a complete private club.
Okay, but the front door and the sign on the front and everything will be in O'Charlie's.
It will say O'Charlie's.
Okay, which is a profit corporation.
Correct.
Okay. You're aware that there are applications for memberships, rules that still have to be followed, and there's a committee that has to be structured to approve the membership of the members of this organization?
Subject to proof, that was one of the regulations that were reviewed in August.
Council that, or, council?
How about Mr.
Mr. Bennett,
Which one are you looking at?
I agree with that. I'm not referring to a regulation at this point, such as Article 5, Section 3 of the organization's bylaws.
Okay,
And so they've brought that on themselves.
okay, all right.
Are you actually going to have a system where if I come in, pay my $5 membership fee, I'm not a member and cannot partake of the alcohol and so forth until I'm voted on and approved by a membership committee?
I don't know the exact regulation on that, and if we were to be granted the license, I would definitely learn the details of it.
Okay, and
Let's back up, because I'm talking about regulations, like about your bylaws.
Right.
I understand you correctly.
And I'm talking about your governing documents of your organization, not the regulations of this ABC. These are your bylaws.
Yes.
Are you familiar with that bylaw?
Not the details.
Okay. And had I never pointed that out to you, you probably would never do anything about a membership committee once you were in business because you didn't know that. Very good. That's not a rule or regulation, though.
Y'all can change your bylaws or do it within your group.
Okay. You have a floor plan that's attached. Is there any distinction at the cash register for what is alcohol based and not? Is there two separate cash registers for what's private club or alcohol related or anything like that, or is it just one cash register?
We don't do cash register.
Okay. Is that an objection or a comment? It's an objection.
Well,
I'm responsive.
obviously the question is are you set up? Didn't we answer that a little while ago, David, where they were set up to where the computer delineated what was alcohol, what was not? Not many people have an old-fashioned cash register
My
anymore.
question was not, does the computer do it? I understand that. My question is it
Were
done
they
by
gonna
the
do it?
restaurant? Is it done by the private club? Is it done in the national? Where is that done? Because that makes a difference.
You've got, obviously you got a server sitting here somewhere that sorts all this out for you when the computer comes through.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where's that done?
Where is what? I still don't
Where
understand.
where do we separate the money received for the private club from whatever is associated with O'Charlie's?
All the sales of alcohol are computerly separated from the sales of food. That's all. Is that what
You don't know where that happens or what state it happens
It
in?
happens in the computer, not a state. I mean,
Is the computer in the state?
it's in the restaurant. Yeah.
So it's happening at the club, at the time, at the restaurant, at the time that it's done in Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Right when it's rung in. Yes.
Okay.
Finally, I will move on. How close is the nearest private club to your O'Charlie's restaurant?
Nearest private club, probably a half a mile, I would imagine.
Just across the bypass there where you are?
Yeah, it's more of a tavern, sort of smoky bar, more than a restaurant.
Which one is that?
Is that a 501 club? Okay. And if the Mallard closes, if the Mallard Club is the closest one, and that's about a half mile away, it is a place where someone can go and get alcohol.
They can purchase alcohol there,
Okay.
yes.
How close is the 501 club?
Down the street, maybe a couple blocks from the Mallard.
Okay, so still within several blocks, still within the same.
Within several blocks, yes.
Okay. And is there a Club Rev?
Red.
Red. Club
Yeah,
Red.
that's Club.
Where's that?
That is approximately, I guess, another block.
Okay. So we shouldn't. You're not representing for the board here that there's no other places within this area, this geographical area, that serve alcohol. You're saying there's no other, basically public restaurants serving alcohol at this price in this area.
We're just completely different than any of those places, that's all.
I understand. But they do serve alcohol in there.
They serve alcohol, yes.
Okay. Do you know, and this is the last question I have, do you know if any money exchanged hands for the present operators of the Blue Dress Social Club to acquire operation, control, or ownership from Todd Sears and the group that founded this organization?
I'm not aware of that.
I don't know anything about that.
No, sir.
Very good. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Mr.